over South Carolina on Sunday in Tampa. It's the 12th national title for UConn. South Carolina denied back-to-back titles. Tonight at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, it's the NCAA men's basketball championship game. Houston squares off with Florida. The Cougars 35-4, the Gators 35-4. Florida advanced with a 79-73 comeback win over Auburn on Saturday, while Houston shocked Duke with a 70-67 win. Houston's never won a national championship. They've been the runner-up twice, 1983 and 1984. The Gators won back-to-back national championships in 2006 and 2007 and was the runner-up in 2000. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
This weekend, only at Macy's, it's our lowest prices of spring. How low? Diamond rings, pendants, and earrings, only $399, originally $1,500. Ninja blenders, now $89.99. And $395 men's designer suits, only $99.99. So if you're wondering why you should shop Macy's lowest prices sale, well, the name pretty much says it all. It's our lowest prices for one weekend only. Starts tomorrow at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
Get the SportsGrid mobile app and get gaming strategies and information faster than you can say, "No, honey, I know how to gamble," when your wife asks for $10 to get a scratcher. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, Sirius XM Channel 159.
Best every day now officially underway. It's a Monday and a championship Monday edition right here on the SportsGrid Network. This is Moneyline. That is Kevin Walsh. I am Donnie Rightside. In the next hour, we got you covering all the hottest topics across the sports landscape, which will include and a lot of the national championship game tonight. Most people actually thought it would be the Duke Blue Devils and the Florida Gators. Well, the Florida Gators did make it after their victory over the Auburn Tigers, but an epic collapse for the ages by the Duke Blue Devils on Saturday night, where Coach James Young and Kevin Walsh were live on the set for Bracket Central in-game live. And what a finish it was, Kevin. And I put it this way. I came home and I was listening to you guys in the car. By the time I got home, it was halftime. Remember JY and you talking, Jay was like, you know what? Houston didn't play all that great. It's only a 6-point game. Like, if they can put some things in the gear in the second half, I think they can win this game. So I'm laying in bed watching. This game's done. So I dozed off, Kevin, 12, 13 minutes ago in the game. I wake up out of nowhere with the TV still on. The minute Cooper Flagg missed at the end of the game, which then sent, obviously Houston back to the line, I was stunned when I woke up, to be honest. Like, when I saw, oh, my goodness, Duke is going to lose this game. And then watched, Kevin, how it pertained over the final 3 minutes where Houston had to do everything right, Duke had to do everything wrong, and the refs had to help Houston along the way, which they did on that one foul call on Cooper Flagg. But you still got to give credit to Houston. That team is tough.
Kelvin Sampson was incredible, but as somebody who had futures on both, what everyone knows was more invested in Houston, I wasn't thinking about either future watching that ending. Yeah. I was thinking about Houston plus 5.5. And as I was watching that play out, as they got a steal on an inbound, right? And they get a bucket, it's like, all right, we got a chance to cover. And then Tugler, right, reaches his hand over the line, and it's going to get an extra free throw for Duke. I go, that might ruin the cover. And then Manny Sharp hits the three to cut it to 3, and I go, man, I think we're going to cover.
Yeah.
Not, oh, man, should we get to Houston money line? JoJo Tugler put back dunk, cut it to 1. And I'm not lying to you. All I could think about was, we got the cover. This is good, man. Hey, at least the Cougs covered on the way out. It did not feel as if at any point that game was going to belong to Houston until Jawan Roberts hit the second free throw to make it 68-67, which, again, it was just stunning. I will say, I guess it's my hot take of it all.
Mm-hmm.
People blaming that call, I disagree with. Not because, so much else had to happen, but Cooper wasn't getting that offensive rebound. It was going to fall out of his hands into LJ Cryer. So Houston, Donnie, still would have, down one, been going down the chance to score.
Correct.
And the way they were playing. So, now look, it was a bad call. I actually went back and watched kind of the coach and I's, ending 20 minutes or so, because I was so stunned. And I was like, Donnie, at one point on the show, I go, am I even hosting? It didn't feel real. So I was like, did I even do a good job? And I think I did, whatever but it was just the most stunning result I have seen in so long.
It really is. And you take a look at some of the March Madness accounts popping out, and a lot of people were watching this. Here's the joke for me, too, because I always say, why would you put Duke on that late? Nobody can see it. But me and Ben is like, oh, look at that. They did. I said, yeah, understand this. Everybody was watching it, but not everybody could finish watching it. Like me. Like, I had it on. It still counts for me. I fell asleep, missed the final 10 minutes because the damn thing was so late at night. I had a long day anyway and a long drive, but that's besides the point. I just wish those were at 3 and 6 at that point. But here again, Kevin, the fact of the matter is, we don't need Cinderella's here. You saw a high-ranked Final Four, all number one seeds. And I put the tweet out Sunday morning. Like, you know what? If you tell me next year all ones make it again to the Final Four, I want this. Because you know what also happens now, Kevin? Yeah. Number one seed Florida, number one seed Houston. Look at that spread. 1.5. The anticipation tonight for an unbelievably fun ball game all the way through is right back at it here. So Cinderella's, as I always say, fun stories until they win a basketball game, and then you get mad at what could have been in the next game who they upset. You would have rather seen the team that got upset played in that next game. It's a great Final Four so far. And again, I was live on set, both myself and Ben, for the Florida Gators game, which they looked dead to rights at the half and woke up right out of the gate in the second half, tied that game up, and it was tit for tat the entire way through the second half. So two equally deserving teams. I just thought, at the beginning of the tournament, it was going to be Florida Duke. Now it's just Florida Houston. But I don't think anybody's surprised that Houston is there because, Kevin, you said it, I said it. What a test for Duke. If Duke won that game, which looks like they were by double digits, I don't even care they play Florida. They wiped the floor with Florida. But the fact that Houston was able to come back from that amount here, looking dead in the water, something's up with that team, man. They can play. They can play.
Yeah, they 100% can. And we talked about it, on In Game Live that night. There is no world I would be on Florida in this game. And, I'm figuring out the futures portion of it all, what percentage should go, blah, blah, blah. But as much as Duke is better and Duke would have laid more to Florida, the matchup, Donnie, for Florida, I think, is bad. Because Walter Clayton was not efficient in any of the games against Tennessee. That's the obvious comparison point. And this Florida team is not even playing that good of basketball. They're now just living and dying on Walter Clayton. And look, shout out to the kid. Obviously, everyone knows I'm a huge fan. But if he's going to shoot sub 40% from the floor, it's hard for me to see Florida win this basketball game, Donnie. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah, Ben and I were talking about the correlations in this game. It's okay, if it's Houston, then it's probably under, which I disagree with. I think Houston can score 75 points in a win or a loss tonight against Florida, and that game will be just fine. But when looking at the point structure, like LJ Cryer, I have a couple different ways that I'm trying to angle some of these player props, but it seems like everything, again, is I love to do this. Tell me Walter Clayton scores 14 points and the Gators win tonight. That's not happening. Tell me Walter Clayton scores 25 tonight and the Gators lose that game. That could happen. The correlation is the strongest for me on just Walter Clayton's number to get to 20 points. Now, again, if he gets to 18 and they win, close enough. But I'm telling you, 16 or less from Walter Clayton tonight, I don't think Florida has a prayer. And it's crazy to say how good Florida is. But we've seen him take over basketball games. You can shoot the three-point shot against Houston. They'll defend it well, but they'll give you the chances and opportunities. It's fun to watch. There's a couple other guys like Thomas Houck, again, I might be in on tonight. There's so many different guys. I'm having a struggle here outside of LJ Cryer from three-point range because, as I tell everybody, I tell you repeatedly, the guy that knocks down a lot of three-point shots in the very next game is like, you know what? had fun last game. I'm going to shoot one of them tonight. Like, that's not happening. Like, I do believe he needs to make his 3-point shots to advance. But the 140.5, the 1.5 total, razor thin margins. But Walter Clayton, he has to perform if Florida wants to win. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think one of the most appealing things of his prop is that because they're playing Houston, it goes down, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they were playing Duke, that number's 23.5, probably, just from a pace perspective, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so 19.5, it's like, come on, it's right there, right? It's right there. And yeah, it feels like he should be around it. I wonder what is his threes number? Is it 3 to make at plus money?
For who, Clayton?
Yeah.
Clayton, I don't even think he doesn't even have a 2. 3 threes starts at minus 250 as a price.
Oh my God, never mind.
Yeah. I do think he makes 3-point shots, 3 threes. I do. But again, it's making 3-point shots in college. Like 2 is always the number. Like, ooh, he can get the 2, but 3, I don't care how good a 3-point shooter in college. Like 3 is always the tough one to get to. And they're basically telling you don't bet it. But then again, the sportsbook cost themselves a lot of money by going, Duke minus 115 to win the national championship in the Final Four, knowing how good a teams they had to play it out. So maybe they're just saying, you know what? We don't even want you to bet this at all, win or lose. What it is, it's Monday. Radio Moneyline. Scotty and Kevin will be right back. This is break.
Download the SportsGrid mobile app.
Just do it. You might as well get it. We're not going to shut up about it until you do. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. A second child in Texas has died with measles. The Texas Department of State Health Services said the child who tested positive was hospitalized in Lubbock and passed away on Thursday. The child was reportedly not vaccinated and had no reported underlying conditions. Another round of torrential rain and flash flooding came Saturday for parts of the South and Midwest. Overnight into Sunday morning, there were new tornado warnings issued in Alabama and Mississippi, along with flash flood warnings in several counties in Kentucky, Mississippi, and Tennessee. State lawmakers in Maryland passed a measure to try to limit future liabilities from claims of sexual abuse at state and private institutions. The measure reduces caps on settlements from $890,000 to $400,000 for cases filed after May 31st for state institutions and from $1.5 million to $700,000 for private institutions. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Something amazing is happening. Despite a citywide blackout, this company is still up and running. That's because CDW deployed and managed a cost-effective Eaton Trip Light Series Smart Pro UPS to safeguard equipment easily and reliably. Keep the power on and protect your IT equipment from electrical challenges. Trip Light by Eaton and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/triplight.
With Progressive's collision coverage, my family gets up to $1,000 for vet bills if I'm injured in a car accident. And that makes this Chihuahua really feel like part of the family. What's that? I don't sound like a Chihuahua? Oh, I'm sorry. What exactly am I supposed to sound like? I guess all Chihuahuas are high-strung, riding around in expensive designer purses. Actually, I prefer riding in cars. So I appreciate that my family protects me with Progressive's pet collision coverage. Okay, maybe I am a little high-strung. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and is subject to policy.
Let's make something crystal clear. The winning edge has nothing to do with increasing good luck. Luck has nothing to do with it. It's sports gaming strategies and information. You want luck? Flip a coin. You want to win? Flip it here. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, we're going to take a little break here for a moment from college basketball. By the way, I talked 3 hours of college. Kevin's just popping on the radio now. I've talked 3 hours of college basketball. I don't have much more I can talk about this game itself. Every single angle, multiple guests, each way through. But it's a good game tonight. The boys will be live from the desk. Make sure Bracket Central in-game live. What time you guys going tonight? 8 p.m. start? I know the tips are on 9.
No, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Because I heard a huff and a puff earlier, Kevin. Like you're gonna have 50 minutes of pregame. So you ready?
I'm gonna go. You want to know when I found out I had 50 minutes of pregame?
Right now?
Just now, brother.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yep. See, now the 920 start might have fit you better in the previous years, right? Like, hey, get right on at 9, couple minutes here, couple segs, boom, let it roll.
Oof. I mean, I get it.
Now, is there a GTD
question
tonight with you, or no? You're just right into
I'm not me. Ranieri's got it.
Gotcha.
I think for some reason, Donnie, the men's tournament this year more than any has now proven without a shadow of a doubt they believe that 9 p.m. is prime time for them.
Ridiculous.
Where did they come up with this? I cannot figure it out.
Boneheadedness. Like wouldn't you take a page out of like the NFL and say, who gets the most ratings anytime? Doesn't matter. It's the NFL. What do they like to do? Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, just after 8 o'clock. I don't get it. Why can't we be at 8 o'clock tonight, at least?
So the women's tournament, I am 99.9% positive, Donnie. I believe their national championship game, wasn't it on Tuesday? Usually, yes. Where they would, because they start after the men's tournament, right?
Yeah.
I think on Sunday they would run their Final Four, and then Tuesday they'd run the championship game. I think so. If I'm correct, that means someone in the room said, you know what? Why are we going Sunday, Tuesday when the men's game is leaving us Friday, Sunday? What are they doing? Let's just take advantage of that. And they get huge eyes now.
Yes, because college basketball ends when the men's championship is over. Oh, we still got the women's tomorrow. I thought we were done with it. But now you get the bump of like, oh, yeah, women's game Sunday afternoon, love it. Men's on Monday night, love it.
Yeah,
like I
you're
love
involved.
Yes, women's college basketball, Kevin, huge boom. Friday, Sunday, flat out genius.
Did you have any eyes on that game yesterday?
Not too late. I was doing baseball a lot, and like my Sundays, 7 a.m. I'm up, handicapping, baseball till 12. Decompress, get some lunch, check some things out. It was never on my radar, like I have to catch this game. But as I had the TV on, I was like, you know what? I saw like a couple tweets come through with Paige, who's had a couple points, Fudd had a couple points. I'm like, let me turn it on. But by the time I got to it, it was already over. So I didn't like go back to it until the final, because I like to see like when teams win championships, right? Final 2 minutes, just tune in and see what happens at that point. That's all I really took out of that.
I don't really understand how this UConn team out of nowhere became like this. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't because they initially were struggling to beat on like any good team they played. Like USC beat them at UConn. And anybody who knows like the history of the women's game, right? Like we've talked about it though, Donnie. If UConn women's basketball lost a game, it was breaking news. Like red bar, we need to cut in. First time in 4 years, right? Like we saw them lose a game. So that was odd that this team out of nowhere, like, yeah, they're the favorites. And then they were like the slight favorites. I was like, I guess that's because of the Juju injury, maybe. And then you just look at it and it's like, yeah, UCLA, number 1 overall seed, they're laying 8. They beat them by $1 billion.
Which caught me off guard today, too.
Crazy.
When I saw the bumper yesterday, I was like, what was that game? 1, 2 points. Maybe USC was favored, or USC has talked about South Carolina. Maybe favored in that game. No, 6.5, 7s at game time yesterday, which was pretty wild. And boy, they dropped the hammer. 12 championships for one head coach in Gino Auriemma. The case study for me is like, hey, Duke turns it over from Coach K, or a legend like John Wooden back in UCLA. Like, how does the program recover? What happens when UConn says, you know what? Gino's like, I joined my 13th in 2 or 3 years. Let's just say I'm out of here now. I wonder if UConn, and sustain is the wrong word. Nobody sustains anything from what's sustaining? 1 win every 10 years, which is amazing. And UConn's like, yeah, for a while we were winning 7 out of every 10. National. I wonder how that continues, and also how much longer Gino Auriemma coaches, because I like to watch the superstar player right after the game put the mic in their face. Same thing with the head coach. Very emotional last night. Hit home. Been a while since 2016. They haven't won one. Wanted to get one for Paige Beckers. wanted to obviously get another one for himself. And it looked like he's at that moment. Like, how many years does he have left, though? How many years of running and gunning and because he retires with 12 championships. It's not like he's chasing anybody at this point.
Yeah, I heard someone say, perfect chance to go out on top. He could have did that a decade ago, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's not like
my goodness.
like Coach K, right? Who got his last games ever in a Final Four. Who cancel the retirement. I can't leave until I win a title. I got to prove myself here.
Exactly. I don't want anybody to hand it over here at this point. Yeah, go ahead.
Like the girl Sarah Strong, the freshman who set the record for most points by a freshman in a single tournament. Like, I just wonder if Gino's like, oh, well, I'm just going to wait this out because this has got to be at least another championship, if not 2, if not 3. Like, this girl's unbelievable.
Yeah. You see some kids, too, or some coaches, like, you know what? And I heard, I think, was it Jay Watt this morning or Ben? Like, maybe the recruiting level isn't where it usually is for UConn, but still, you might get Fudd back next year. So I think she said she is coming back, and also the other freshmen that they have. So, like, the cupboard isn't bare, but usually some coaches like, you know what? I'm going to ride it out with these superstars, win one and duck away. And I did my part. I won 12. I won one this year. Good luck with the next coach who has to sort of rebuild this type of program. But unbelievable feats there by Gino Auriemma. Sticks it out at UConn. Never goes to the men's game. Could have probably done that. Could have probably been an NBA coach. Whatever. Stays there in stores. Amazing stuff here. More hot topics on the way, which includes Travis Hunter. Let's see.
Get the SportsGrid mobile app. It's much easier to carry than your lucky horseshoe.
And you won't get stopped at the airport.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1958, the Dodgers construct a 42-foot screen in left field at the LA Coliseum to cut down on home runs since it was only 250 feet down the line. The team moved to Chavez Ravine when Dodger Stadium opened in 1962. The Dodgers have won 6 world championships since moving to LA. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
New University of Ottawa research says if you're a member of the Polar Bear Club and like to take a dip in the ocean during sub-zero weather, you might actually be extending your life. This study finds acclimating your body to repeated exposure to immersion in cold water for an hour over 7 days supercharges cellular resistance, the body's natural mechanisms cleaning out damaged tissue. If you want to try this for yourself and you're not quite ready to jump into the Arctic Ocean, maybe just try a cold shower. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Sports Rage Tonight.
Hello, Carrot Top is trying to kill me. I just gave people a movie, a Hollywood idea.
He's a super nice guy, was very patient about questions and helping out the guys that were not at his level. So, I hate his act. It's absolutely...
but great guy.
By the way, when you're a comic, this is the worst thing you can say about somebody. Is he funny? He's a nice guy.
It's Sports Rage Tonight with Gabe Morency. Weekdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. There are too many people addicted to their phones these days, unless it's to look or listen to the SportsGrid mobile app.
In fact,
you should delete all your apps but ours.
Your wife texts you too much anyway.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Championship tonight. It's going to be the Houston Cougars cutting down the nets for the first time. Is it going to be the Florida Gators cutting down the nets? It's been a while for them, but back-to-back, I believe it was Billy Donovan's back-to-backs back in the mid-2000s?
Yeah.
And the Florida Gators won it, so seeing if they can return to it. Other news here, it's April. The draft will be taking place in Green Bay, Wisconsin in a couple weeks. Cam Ward, who we've talked about many times, plus 100, plus 115, minus 230, minus 330. He's minus 20,000 now to be the number 1 overall pick. Abdul Carter, 18-1. Travis Hunter, 50-1. To be the second overall pick, though, Kevin, now. Travis Hunter, minus 135. Abdul Carter plus 105. Interesting. Any thoughts on that?
So I've seen some, I always try and stay as plugged in as I can to the draft.
Yes.
And I've seen people saying, like, I don't know why we're not seeing more Travis to Cleveland talk, because, Travis is the one-of-one prospect, and the market is now moving with it. Now, I will tell you this, April 7th movement is expected. It does not mean that this is a runaway freight train on Travis. It just does not mean that at all. I get it, though, right? I see the vision because of what, Travis can possibly be. Do you think it would be a mistake if they took Travis Hunter?
No, it's not a mistake. Really good football players getting taken high. Eye of the beholder, right? Where you think the value is going to be. I do think Abdul Carter overall on an NFL landscape is the best player in this draft. But understand where we're falling to now. Number one has to be a quarterback. Cam Ward by far is the best quarterback. I always thought he was during the regular season. Tennessee needs a quarterback. That's who's going. But I always lining up the Cleveland Browns, because the way I talked about them before, I thought they should have traded Myles Garrett for 2 first-rounders, then drafted Abdul Carter. Perfect. Low guy, 5 years, handling the payroll, could be a menace like Micah Parsons right out of the gate, and sort of cover for Myles Garrett that you don't have, but you picked up 2 first-rounders, you can spend them elsewhere. And then we said, okay, well, what about third? And I look at the Giants and I go, well, they can't go quarterback now because I don't think it would make any sense with the roster that they have now with their quarterbacks and what they're looking to do. And again, a general manager and a coach who don't care about the Giants' future. They just care about themselves and making sure they get 5 or 6 wins this year. I think they did enough to do that. But now you said, you know what? If you're not going to go quarterback for the Giants, Travis Hunter's the perfect pick. Neighbors is already there. Hunter's probably going to be a very good to high-level wide receiver if he just plays wide receiver. Almost probably in the lines, Kevin, like a Devonta Smith he could possibly be. Devonta won the Heisman, and that's high praise for, even what we saw out of Travis Hunter. But Travis Hunter could play some defense, and I'm saying, you know what? The Giants might actually find themselves in a position where they shouldn't be, but the pick probably would work out. So now what I'm looking at, Kevin, is Cam Ward goes 1, which the Giants would have loved to have. They don't have the number 1 pick because they messed that up. Number 2, they're going Abdul Carter's the best in the draft. We would like him, but we have a high-paying defensive end already in Burns on one side. We drafted Thibodeau on the other side. We don't need defensive end. And Travis Hunter is off the board at number 2, and they have Abdul Carter. It's we're not going to pass him up, but boy, if you want to talk about roster construction, the Giants keep jamming themselves if this is the way it's going to play out.
I think, now you might crush them for this.
Okay.
If Abdul Carter is there at 3, the Giants might get more in terms of trade-up offers than the Titans were getting for number 1. Because while Hunter is a superstar, it is divisive. There are teams down here who are I don't care how good of a receiver he is. He's just playing cornerback if he's in my building, right?
Okay.
Abdul Carter, we all know what it is.
Let me read something quickly to you on that, because I forgot that you're talking about Travis Hunter, who you said, get him in the building. He's a defensive cornerback. At his pro day, didn't do one back pedal yesterday as a cornerback, despite a lot of teams seeing him as a cornerback above wide receiver. Any thoughts on that? He's basically, I'm going to show you at wide receiver. I'm not doing any DB drills per se.
Because if I'm Travis Hunter, and this has been one of my biggest things.
Yes.
Everybody's telling him you can't do both, right? And if let's just say the teams win, right? And Travis is not allowed to do both, which I think is a mistake. Then obviously he should go, okay, I'm wide receiver then. I'm not. Why would I play corner? The highest paid corner doesn't get close to the highest paid wide receiver's money. This is an easy decision. I'm not playing corner. Yeah, that's simple.
Because I know where you're going with that, and it makes sense. It's like the old adage, when I was growing up in the 90s, teach your kid to play running back. That's the big money position. And then 10 years later, it's don't you dare let my son play running back in 9th grade. Make him an outside linebacker or a DB. Do we think Travis Hunter is going to be that high a level a wide receiver in the NFL? Or is his thoughts there's a lockdown corner, you can get away with so much more, make a ton of money at that point? It's an interesting thought process. He's going to try both to start, see where he lands. But more hot topics next. Moneyline.
This is the place.
This is where you'll get expert perspectives and sports gaming strategies 24/7.
And it's free.
Beat that, you cheap. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Tonight at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, it's the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship game. Houston squares off with Florida. The Cougars 35-4, the Gators 35-4. Florida advanced with a 79-73 comeback win over Auburn on Saturday, while Houston shocked Duke with a 70-67 win. Houston's never won a national championship. They've been the runner-up twice, 1983 and 1984. The Gators won back-to-back national championships in 2006 and 2007 and was the runner-up in 2000. The UConn Huskies won the women's national basketball championship, 82-59 the final over South Carolina on Sunday in Tampa. It's the 12th national title for UConn. South Carolina denied back-to-back titles. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
This weekend, only at Macy's, it's our lowest prices of spring. How low? Diamond rings, pendants, and earrings, only $399, originally $1,500. Ninja blenders, now $89.99. And $395 men's designer suits, only $99.99. So if you're wondering why you should shop Macy's lowest prices sale, well, the name pretty much says it all. It's our lowest prices for one weekend only. Going on now at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
If sports talk stations were buffets, we'd be the one with the line out the door where every night is rib night and you came alone because the crowd gives you a measure of cover so you won't get any grief for going back 9 times. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Yeah, the NFL draft, interesting stuff, no doubt about it. I mean, Travis Hunter now creeping into that number 2 overall pick. It does make sense. I'm not even, you know me, Kevin. I like to hate on stuff. Like, how could they pass Abdul Carter? Roster construction. Sometimes it's just different there at that point. Go ahead. I know you had a point to make before the break to expound on.
Here's my thing. Again, it's the inverse. We never see this. You know how when Donnie, a team gets the first pick, but they don't need quarterback?
Correct.
And you're like, you can't draft something else. You have to make the trade, okay? Because everybody wants that quarterback, and you have to go back. Due to the perception around Shedeur Sanders and due to the perception around Abdul Carter, if the Giants want a quarterback, which to some degree they do, right? And Carolina at 8, maybe Carolina is a bad example because they don't have the picks, but just stick with me. If Carolina at 8 is like, we will give you number 8, next year's first round pick, a second round pick, we will give you heaven and earth for Abdul Carter. To some degree, aren't the Giants on the clock like, man, this is great because we want Shedeur and nobody else is taking him. And we're going to be able to get him at 8. Like,
yeah, no, that would make some sense.
It has to be on the board somewhat.
It has to, you're right about that. And also understand you can sort of exert that pressure behind the scenes. Like if Shedeur and Dion understand that they want to go to New York, you could tell the teams out there. And sometimes it doesn't sway their opinion, but no front office general manager ever wants to pick up the phone like, hey, Shedeur, number 5 overall, welcome to X amount of franchise. We just traded up. It's like, brother, I'm not going to Cleveland. I know Cleveland traded down because you thought you could get me to do the same thing. I really don't want to go there. Like, oh, yeah, no, he'll like it once he gets here. Let's draft him. Nobody wants to start that. You want to start like, I can't wait to get to your program and start going right away. And if you don't get that, maybe you can sort of play into that here. Also, I saw a viral thing going around, which made me laugh too. Dion at the pro day for Colorado, not happy in the least with, I guess, a scout trying to give some technique issue. Do what you do out there, man. Don't listen to this guy. I was like, there you go, Dion. Why wear the high?
Let me throw it at you from another direction, though.
Yeah.
The Browns draft Abdul Carter.
Okay.
Is that day number 1 the best edge rushing duo in football?
Yes. I think so.
I don't think it's close. I don't even know who would be the Steeler fans would be like, no, TJ. But it's
Nice.
like, I don't know. I don't. You sure? Donnie, you don't really ever get to how many guys have 2 top 5 picks on the ends, right?
Yeah.
Like the Jags tried it with Josh Allen and the kid Walker they picked, but everybody knew that was the wrong pick. Like it's just you get Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter on both sides, Donnie, they might just automatically have one of the 5 best defenses in football because nobody can pass them and throw a complete
Just
pass.
meet me at the quarterback, like left
Yeah.
and right. You have the ultimate specimen on one side, Myles Garrett. It's like, you can't run it. You can't do anything over here. Oh, it's fine. We'll double team you. And then you have a speed merchant on the other side that's just like, I'm so fast, I'll just run circles around your tackle whenever I want to. It's fun to look at, which again brings up the Giants. Like, the Giants, like, hey, you know what? Look at the 3 defensive guys we can have pressure on, but you can't have a high price guy or a high draft pick like he's the odd man out in passing situations. Now you can go Steve Spagnuolo style back in the day. Hey, NASCAR package where all 3 of them are out there, 4 of them. I get it, but you're not going to do that every down, which again makes me laugh about the Giants. Like they had the world wherever they wanted it, and when they had that number 1 over pick right in their sights, and now it's like, all right, we're going to get the player we want. It's like, wait a second. There's talk out there now. The player that we probably will take will go 2 overall, and we're going to get left with an all-world defensive end, which we actually don't need. But you're right about that. Like people trading up to that 3 spot where you slide down to 7 and get your quarterback and an extra first-round pick. It's like now we could be moving, but it's a Giants front office. I trust them to pick like an offensive tackle at 3 and not trade back and completely mess things up. But it's fun to try to watch and take a look at that. But the NFL, when is the draft, by the way? 2 weeks?
25th, 24th. So 2 weeks from Thursday.
2 weekends at that point here. So Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now, what's the show? Where are you guys at?
We should be in our New Jersey abode. No, what are you trying to move us all around for?
Yeah,
should be a good time.
Next year, the goal is we travel around the state just to make everybody drive as much as I do repeatedly. Never know where we're going to be. Might be at the Meadowlands, might be in Holmdel, might be in Atlantic City, might be down by the Delaware Memorial Bridge. You never know. Never know.
You've cost yourself a lot of miles by living as close as you do to Philadelphia, but not actually in Philadelphia. Like they probably leave you alone. They're like, that's Jersey. It's right around the corner.
Yeah, just the ride again. It's not a bad ride that I have. It's just that there's a one stretch like around my house, Route 73 in Burlington County. It's a little bit, but the turnpike is usually smooth. Route 33 usually smooth up there. Going through the back roads, everything's usually smooth at that point. So I'm used to it. What am I in studio per year? 60 times, maybe 50 times. 3 times a week during football season, and then maybe an average of once or twice a month.
Ramps it up, man. Football ramps it up.
Monday on the road, Thursday on the road, Sunday on the road, man. I don't know how you make it through football season and then say, "Ooh, look what's happening." Which now, again, I'll be in studio tomorrow. I was in studio for the Final Four stuff, but the ride on that, kick on some tunes at that point and get in. And again, we're doing football shows, right? I'm driving home late at night. There's no traffic. Sunday morning at 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, there's no traffic out there either. Sunday afternoon, no real traffic. So it's not that bad. It's just time consuming where, boy, I would like to just be at it and be like, hey, football's on. Good, sit there. I just hate missing the first half of Sunday football games. I hate that.
Don't worry. We'll work on something. Since we're doing football here, because I don't know, maybe we're going to transition to baseball or I bet whatever it might be. Rodgers has to be waiting for something, right? Before taking the Steelers' money? Because this is ridiculous.
I'm glad you brought that up. Because here's where I'm with it now. There's only one legitimate spot for Rodgers to say, I want to be a quarterback. And hey, you know what? I have a chance to make the playoffs here and maybe do a little damage. There's only one spot. It's the Steelers. The Steelers are telling him, we really would want you as our quarterback. And he's saying, yeah, I got to have meetings to get reassured. So I look at it this way for the Steelers. He does not, and here's how it goes. He doesn't want to be your quarterback. Like you saw he wanted to be the Jets quarterback. See how bad that actually turned out? He doesn't want to be your quarterback. It's a cold weather city. He obviously can't stand your offensive coordinator or your game plan or even Mike Tomlin as a head coach. But you know what he'll do? You keep ramping up those financials to $50 million a year. He'll be like, all right, I'll be your quarterback. I wanted to see Aaron Rodgers at this stage of his career with the Steelers, Kevin, and I've said it ad nauseum. Steelers, I'm going to be your quarterback. We don't even know if we want you. You want me. I want minimum salary. Let's play a look. 6-7 weeks in, we're 5-1, we're 6-1. I'm balling out here. You pay me. I'm not. You cut me, I will retire. And the Steelers go, this guy wants to win. But now the Steelers are saying, Mr. Rodgers, you have no outlets on the table. We're probably going to pay you a lot already, and we really want you. It's like, I don't know if that's a good idea, guys. And they go, did you hear us? Nobody wants you but us. Like, that's what I can't. I'm with you right now at this point. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's a possible power play, which is on the board, right? Maybe he's thinking, look, I have until the draft, nothing to worry about, right? Maybe Pittsburgh, Donnie, is like, we have until the draft, nothing for us to worry about, right? Or Rodgers is like, I will sign nowhere until the ink dries on that Brock Purdy deal because I refuse to believe they're good. I do love when you quote tweet like the Niners GM or something like that. He's like, look, man, there's nothing more we want than to get this deal done. And you're like, well, then get the deal done.
Yeah.
Well, then.
Yeah. Dude, by the way, I'm glad you brought that one up, too, because that was about a week old, which I forgot about. Jed York is basically saying, like, man, if we could have sent this guy sooner, we would do it all the time. We got to change that. Brother, you had 2 years already. Like, what is even going into that comment? I wish I had more time to try to get this deal done previously. 2 full years have gone by. Nothing has happened at this point here. Is the dog just fired up over there?
Losing it.
Losing it. Over there?
Yeah. Tails banging into the table. I'm going to handle this during the break. It's a fired up kind of shake. Look at this. Whoa!
Okay. It's Championship Monday, people. We sleep in May, some like to say. We'll be right back. Red Network.
Winning is not just beating the odds. It's the thing that keeps the wife smiling and your kids in respectful awe.
Oh, Father. Now cut that out.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Alex Ovechkin is the new NHL career goals leader. He scored his 895th in a 4-1 loss against the Islanders on Sunday. The goal came 7.5 minutes into the second period. The tally pulled the Capitals within 2-1 of the Islanders. The goal is Ovechkin's 42nd of the season. The Capitals and Winnipeg are battling for the top regular season record. Vlad Guerrero Jr. and the Blue Jays have agreed on a 14-year, $500 million contract extension. That's pending a physical. The deal is the third largest in Major League Baseball history, behind only Juan Soto's 15-year, $765 million deal with the Mets and Shohei Ohtani's 10-year, $700 million contract with the Dodgers. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship game is tonight. Houston takes on Florida. UConn won the women's title 82-59 over South Carolina Sunday. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Find what you love and love what you find at Total Wine and More. The place to go for sipping rosés with seltzers on ice, making margaritas with your favorite tequilas. It's warm out, let's go. Our prices are low on spirits, beer, and wine. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Only at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly. B21.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
You've heard of smart bombs,
Smartphones, smart cars, smart watches, and smart glasses.
now you can add smart player.
Giving you sports gaming strategies and information 24/7.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Focusing tonight on Florida and Houston National Championship Monday in college basketball. Estimated tip time sometime before 9 o'clock. Ridiculous. But we do see the Florida Gators opened up as that 1.5-point favorite at FanDuel. Still sitting at 1.5. Other outlets, DraftKings, Bet365 here in New Jersey, -1s. Total, open up 141.5. Now sitting at 140.5 at most outlets. 365 here in New Jersey, still holding at 141. I'm interested, Kevin, in 3-point props tonight. even though both of these teams defend the three-point line as good as anybody in the country, Houston does allow you to shoot the three-point shot. Now, granted, how many times you want to shoot it, how many shots go down, that's going to be the issue here. But before we go to the props, any thoughts on the -1.5 and the 140.5 as it sits right now?
I think Houston is the better team. I think Houston should be favored in the game. I don't even really know. Like, Florida is not playing better, right? So that argument kind of goes out the window. Ken Palm's moved Houston up to number 2. Have they not?
I believe I saw that these two teams were 2 and 3.
Yeah, but
Houston's 2, still Florida's 3. Houston's 2 and Florida's 3.
Now, I'm not telling you Houston should be laying 8 points, right? We used to do this on the NFL Sundays where it'd be like, I don't know, this team's 1.5. I think the other team should be 1.5. So I got to bet the other team that's 1.5. You're like, yeah, but the game's not landing 1. But I do believe Houston should be favored. I am torn on the total. I need more time to decide what I want to do with that total. I will say I've always felt, and you know this, we do all the shows together, jumping in on live totals is probably my favorite. So I may, unless I come up with super conviction, be happy to leave that alone. I'm too torn on it right now, that total.
You have any intel on a certain person's favorite bet tonight? Walter Clayton over 5 bounds tonight. You have any comments on that?
Let me tell you, man. I got his 4th. I took him for 4 rebounds last game.
Yes.
And again, the old one for the good guys, as DRS put it to me a few times. And Walter Clayton, the final shot that Tahad Pettifor took was going to go out of bounds, and Clayton saved it from going out of bounds, and that was an offensive board. Yes. Number 4, I was like, all right. And it set up the momentum a little bit, which was nice. We needed it.
Like Houck, I had to get the 10-5 and the Florida Gators to win, which looked dead in the water at the half. Like I was like, okay, Houck might get there. I don't know. Florida's going to get there. Then it was like, Florida's going to get there. Then Houck's not going to get there. And he goes late and lays it in. But I got to chuckle because the layup gave him the 10 points. How did it go at that point now? Oh, I'm sorry.
N1.
11.5 was his total. 11.5 was his total. The N1 gave him 11 points. So when people are like, what do you mean? You took 10. You should have just taken the 11.5 and just, what's the difference between 10 and 12? And he bricks the free throw. But he ended up getting like 4 more free throws down the stretch, which was terrible. But he crossed over that number. But I just think in my mind, like, how many times people sit there like, 11.5 points, what's the difference between 10 and 11? I'm not playing the extra juice. And he sits there with 11 points. So you hit the 10.5, but would have lost his regular wager at 11.5. Those got a kick out of there. But I like Houck tonight in a couple instances as well. Might get back to the farm where it's 10-5. And I don't like a side tonight per se. I wouldn't be surprised if Houston won or Florida. And of course, it's 1.5. You're not supposed to be surprised. I would be surprised tonight, Kevin, if we had a 10-point margin either way for the victory. Like Florida by 8 or 9 points, Houston by 8 or 9. I can see it. I can't see Florida by 13 or Houston by 13 tonight. I just can't see it. But also at the same time, I'm trying to say, like, who's my go-to guys? Like Walter Clayton, I just talked about Bet365 over the break, plus 175 for him to get 20 points tonight. He has to get 20 points if Florida wants to win. Now, I don't want to be sitting here like, well, yeah, Houston's just going to lock him up and say somebody else beat us. Because Martin, Richard, Houck, those are the guys I'm focused here on Florida. For Houston, for me, it would be probably Cryer just by 3 because I just love the way he's stroking it right now. But at the same time, I don't know.
I'm interested in Uzan, who dealt with a lot of foul trouble last game. But I thought in the minutes he was able to play and play aggressively on offense, looked really good. That trio, though, Donnie, of Uzan, Cryer, Sharp, it's going to be green light system. They're going to be ready to go, and they're going to be ready to go early in this basketball game. So all of their props will be some level of interesting, but probably more Uzan than any of the other in that trio. Juwan Roberts was awesome, and they went to Juwan Roberts kind of when they really needed it, I felt, in that game. So that felt noteworthy. I want to keep tabs on some of his numbers. The Florida numbers beat me up a little bit. I've tried with some Will Richard bounce back spots that have not come in now. It feels like for 2 straight games. So maybe I'm off base on backing him, or maybe, now it's his chance, but I'm not sure it really is. I don't know who the guy on Florida is. Now, I like the Walter Clayton look. I just don't think I'll likely end up on it myself. I don't think so, at least.
Take a look at some of these comments here, too.
Condon speak to anybody with just the size?
Vecchio took him under today, 8.5. And do you look at his last 4 games, Kevin? I think the 4 games was let me just start looking at Condon. I only bet him one time, but after I was like, there's one thing where it's you handicap a game. It's well, he was 1 for 8 from the field. Well, he shot 8 times. He should have got 10 points. And then it's well, he finished with 7. He shot 1 time. Wait, is he just so far out of the equation on that Florida offense? Goodness.
Well, he got injured, remember, against Maryland, so maybe there's some lingering effects to that all, right? I think it's possible.
Oh, I got a Lacey bet for you right now. You ready for this one, Kevin? FanDuel Sportsbook, she loves Juwan Roberts and Thomas Houck to combine for 20 bounds, 10-1.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. It gets in the mix
those live shots, man.
Doable, right? Yeah,
let me tell you, you know what? I forgot to tell you about something. You would have went wild on it.
What do you got?
Cooper Flag was sitting at 22 points with 8 minutes to go.
Yes.
30-point number? 30-point number was minus 155 on FanDuel, right? At the same time, Donnie, 25-point number, minus 150 DraftKings. Total misstep. Total misstep.
Love this.
It broke my brain for about a good 10 minutes on air because I was like, we bet it, you know what I mean? But it was one of those, when you stare at a number, you're like, what kind of decisions am I about to make right now?
Well, how about this one? Houston to win and LJ Cryer to drop 4 triples plus 350. Now we're getting some business here. I like the bounds. Look, bounds, baby, bounds. We'll be right back. Moneyline on Monday.
Get the SportsGrid mobile app and you'll never be alone. Take the latest episodes of your favorite shows with you anywhere. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
For anyone who's worried about back taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next, stop and listen. Not filing your taxes can have severe consequences, especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes, hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. That's 800-816-4492.
Football full circle.
But I'll ask Washington Commander fans, would you give up 5 number ones for Jaden Daniels? You know what? Knowing what I know now, probably. Would you give up 5 number ones, for the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud? You know what? I wouldn't like it, but yeah, I got my quarterback of the future. Whatever it takes.
It's football full circle with Ben Stevens and Scott Wetzel. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Searched, and now you found it. A mostly peaceful oasis in the sports talk desert, where one multi-platform giant shines like a lighthouse on the calm ocean. Nice metaphor. That network is SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
MOP. Who's going to be that big-time MOP tonight in college basketball? If we take a look, national championship game tonight, plus 1.5 is a dog for Houston. Over-under listed at 140.5. MOP, Clayton now, minus 110. It was a plus money number this morning. Cryer, plus 170. Sharp, plus 950. Juwan Roberts, 16-1, and so on. Any thoughts on the MOP?
So for me, I know I've caused a lot of stink around this award. How is it handed out? I continued that frustration the other day. You know, you go to the NCAA's website, the players who have won it, they do these little write-ups.
Man.
Hold on a second.
Year after
Hold on. Hold on. And those write-ups include not what they did just in the final two games. Man, let me tell you, this guy's round 1, 28-14 Adamas Sanogo. It's like I thought none of that mattered. And even if everybody in the world is 100% positive that it's just about the last two games, I cannot find anything that tells me that. And then yesterday happened. And I can now finally at least accept that this is a 2-game award shading title game because AZ Fudd won most outstanding player and not Paige Beckers, which goes against every single thing you would completely imagine, right? Oh, she's so great. Give her, and I'm not saying she's not, but like she's amazing. She's the star. She was so good in the other rounds. No, AZ Fudd lit it on fire for 2 games, and that's how she won it. So with that said, Walter Clayton's number makes all the sense in the world. In my opinion, well, yes, LJ Cryer was the leading scorer, Donnie. I thought that Emmanuel Sharp and Juwan Roberts were so fantastic and so important to the victory. I think that the LJ Cryer number is way too short right now.
So you're thinking Cryer should be what price then? Like, what would your price be if you had to set it? You're the bookmaker.
Plus 300.
Wow. Okay.
I would say, because I can't say plus 600, right? Because then it would just be boom, 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 Cryer bet, right? But I think that both Chinalu's not winning this most outstanding play. The kid's got 30, okay? Walter Clayton, right? And he's the driving force for them heading into the basketball game.
Yes.
So I think that Walter Clayton is essentially a Florida Moneyline ticket.
But the best part about that is, though, to be honest, like it probably should work out that way. Is there somebody out there listening to this show, Kevin, say, I'm not taking Florida to win this. I'm going to take Clayton at minus 110. Save the 5-cent juice.
Well, no. Yeah, I hope not.
Like, you see how like you say it to yourself and you play it out in your mind? It's like, why would you risk that? Because there is a chance tonight that somebody goes absolutely bonkers. Like Martin goes for 45 and drops a late triple. It's like, man, I knew Florida would win, but I lost all my money.
Look, no one's rooting it, but if it happened, if he rolled an ankle early in the game, right, and they still found a way to hold on and win against the odds, Donnie, well, they're not going to give it to him because he didn't play in the title game, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. So, no, I would not. And that's why, to me, LJ Cryer, the gap between Cryer and the rest of the Cougars is nowhere near as big as the gap between Walter Clayton and the rest of the Florida Gators.
Clayton can't have a average game and they win tonight. I don't believe it. He's got to have his game. 24 points plus assists, whatever it is. Like they need that. You can get around to some things for Houston, but here's a parlay I'm working at right now in 365, which FanDuel doesn't let you parlay like the 3-pointers. I was just trying up. I don't know why, but they don't. Clayton to make 2, Cryer to make 2, Houck make 1 plus 115. Very doable, even though both defenses are very good. Clayton is going to shoot 8 or 9 3-point shots tonight. And if he goes 1 for 8, Kevin, I move on. Like, you know what? This didn't happen. Cryer is going to shoot 8 or 9 3-point shots tonight. If he makes 1 of them, I move on. Houck is going to shoot at least 3 3-point shots tonight, at least, because you can beat Houston. Not beat them, I should say. They leave you open at the 3-point line. He's going to be out there. He needs to make 1. I like where I'm going so far. And by the way, they're not giving me a boost tonight on that. Seems like just a safety net back. So no boost on that, but it still is a plus money number right out of the gate. I think that's where I'm building tonight. So if I had to ask you for prop bets tonight, your angle, even if you haven't taken them yet, is what? What do you got?
Milos Uzan is very much in the cross sights as we sit here right now. There's a lot more that needs to be sorted out, and we got 50 minutes to set it up tonight. And we'll probably be in commercial for when the game actually tips, which will be great.
No doubt. You can talk about the 11 Major League Baseball games in freezing temperatures this afternoon. How about that, people? It's money to be made all over the place. It's Moneyline. Kevin, the Sunday show tomorrow and after.
Ask any woman and she'll tell you all men are afraid of commitment.
Clearly, she's never met a SportsGrid listener.
Checkmate. Check. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The 7 while Houston shocked Duke with a 70-67 win. Houston's never won a national championship. They've been the runner-up twice, 1983 and 1984. The Gators won back-to-back national championships in 2006 and 2007 and was the runner-up in 2000. The UConn Huskies won the women's national basketball championship, 82-59 the final over South Carolina on Sunday in Tampa. It's the 12th national title for UConn. South Carolina denied back-to-back titles. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
This weekend, only at Macy's, it's our lowest prices of spring. How low? Diamond rings, pendants, and earrings, only $399, originally $1,500. Ninja blenders, now $89.99. And $395 men's designer suits, only $99.99. So if you're wondering why you should shop Macy's lowest prices sale, well, the name pretty much says it all. It's our lowest prices for one weekend only. Going on now at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
How many SportsGrid listeners does it take to change a light bulb?
It takes two. One to change the light bulb.
And one to see if our mobile app can provide the same amount of light.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
A new week starts right here, right now, live on Football Full Circle. That is FFC, all a part of the SportsGrid Radio Network and Sirius XM, Channel 159. He is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. Together for the next hour up until 1 p.m. Eastern. And Lisi guy, things are starting to get rather interesting as we are 2.5 weeks out from the 2025 NFL Draft. 2 weeks from Thursday, opening night, opening round. Round number 1 in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where through the weekend, Joe, we saw some moving markets and some speculating reports on what the top of the draft is going to look like. Number 1 overall, that's pretty much solidified with Miami's Cam Ward going first to the Tennessee Titans. But second and third overall, that's where things get very interesting.
Yeah, and we talk about the movement for potentially Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. A lot of mock drafts have some of those players going 2 and 3 respectively. What happens with Shedeur Sanders and his potential fall? Does he fall out of, the top 5? Does he move into the top 10 or even potentially the top 15? That's really where a lot of the media hype is. But again, what trades take part from now over the next 17 days. That's really the outlier, potentially these betting markets. They look good now because everything is status quo. But if one team decides to pull the trigger and take a shot, then all of a sudden everything changes. I just read a report today that potentially Breece Hall might be, mentioned in terms of trade rumors. If that happens, then, Ben, maybe the Jets are a team potentially moving up into the top 5.
Right now, the New York Jets have the 7th overall pick. We'll see exactly what they do. And Lisi guy, starting today as well, off-season programs, off-season workouts beginning for 3 clubs, all that have a rookie head coach. That would be the Patriots, the Jets, and the Bears, at least a rookie head coach in that organization. Of course, Mike Vrabel has been around for a while, but a first-year head coach. The Jets already showing up to the facility. Justin Fields, the new quarterback for Gang Green, showing up today as well. Lisa guy, let's talk about the draft odds that we have available. Cam Ward is a minus 20,000 favorite. Now, minus 20,000 to be that first overall pick made by the Tennessee Titans. The Titans have canceled any visits with Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, basically solidifying the fact that Cam Ward is going to be the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. It is pretty crazy, Lisi, because entering Combine Week, Cam Ward was the slight minus money favorite, but at minus 120, minus 135, he is now minus 20,000. If you have been with us here all offseason long on FFC, and Joe and I were pretty adamant that a quarterback would go one, even if the Titans were going to move out of that spot, we hope you capitalized and have already cashed that ticket, basically. Where the market moves is starting at second overall. It's the pick the Cleveland Browns currently hold. Late last week, Lisa Guy, Abdul Carter, the edge rusher, the game wrecker out of Penn State, minus 270 to be that second overall selection. He's no longer the odds-on favorite. It's Travis Hunter at minus 135. At the same time, late last week, it was Hunter around a minus 185 number to be the third overall pick, a slight minus money favorite. Now it's Abdul Carter at minus 110. Different players expected to be the picks at 2 and 3.
Yeah, and again, we talk about the versatility of Travis Hunter. That's really what it comes down to. Even if you draft him as a lockdown corner, the potential to utilize him for 10 to 15 plays on the offensive side of the ball, or even vice versa, is always on the table, right? Is he a better wide receiver than he is lockdown corner? Only time will tell, but you're getting a player that has an impact and can make an impact on both sides of the ball. And, when you're talking about defensive lockdown corners, you're getting an elite talent, athleticism, great speed, great hands, the ball instincts are there, and the ability to just elevate his team. Think about, just him in Colorado with Shedeur Sanders. He was a major reason why, and then one of the main reasons why they were a 9-win football team during the regular season. So again, you're getting a game changer. Cleveland, if they stay in that spot, if they take Abdul Carter, okay, it's great, but now you have the potential to have an elite cornerback, and that really matters in terms of today's game.
Yeah, it really is an interesting spot there, Joe, because if the Cleveland Browns are staying at 2, and all indications as of this moment, as we have shared many, many times in the modern draft era since 1994, when the NFL draft expanded to 7 rounds, this is the first time that all 32 NFL organizations have held on to their first round pick, even since the NFL became 32 teams in the early 2000s at this stage of the year. Are we going to see some trades in the next 17 days or so? That remains to be seen. But with Cleveland right now sticking at second overall, the idea that you just spent a ton of money on Myles Garrett to keep him in-house, not starting the rebuild by trading him to acquire a ton of draft capital to maybe focus on a quarterback early in the draft, and then you would select Abdul Carter second overall, who plays the same position as Myles Garrett. Yeah, you could be dominant on that defensive line, but really not much else there. That they were going to draft Abdul Carter was an interesting move. Now Travis Hunter trending toward being that second overall pick. Abdul Carter yesterday, Joe, in State College, of course, where Penn State is, had dinner with the New York Giants, including head coach Brian Daboll, is scheduled to now visit the Giants facility this week as well. He has moved into slight minus money category to be that third overall pick that the Giants now hold. I do find it interesting, Lisi Guy, if the Giants end up with Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau still there for this Giants team, and you have Dexter Lawrence up front as well. That would be a really solid D-line for New York. But I wonder how happy Giants fans would be with Abdul Carter as compared to Travis Hunter, because the versatility the reigning Heisman winner possesses.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, right? It definitely fits a need. And you talk about front seven and the ability to lock down Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott in terms of the NFC East opponents. That, Abdul Carter helps you in that aspect, right? But does he move the needle for the other aspect? Getting Shedeur, potentially Travis Hunter, that wow factor really elevates, fans and buys in. So again, would Travis Hunter help that defense? Absolutely, right? You have a lockdown corner. You take away a third of the football field, going up against the likes of A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and C.D. Lamb and Terry McLaurin as well. So, I don't think the Giants could go wrong, Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. I will say that if you're just looking overall, Giants have done well with Penn State talent, right? They had obviously Saquon. Theo Johnson was taken in terms of last year's draft. So Penn State players step up. It's close to home. It's a New York market. If they were to take Abdul Carter, with Thibodeau, dynamic bookends getting after the pass rushers. So we'll see how it plays out. But if I was the Giants and Travis Hunter was there, I would take him over Carter.
Yeah, plus 150 right now for Travis Hunter. But I think, Joe, the idea being that if Hunter is there at 3, that means Abdul Carter has gone second overall, because it really kind of seems like the top 3 in some form or fashion will be Cam Ward 1, and then is it Travis Hunter, then Abdul Carter, or is it Abdul Carter, then Travis Hunter? Shedeur Sanders, by the way, the other quarterback we expect to be a first-round pick, 10-1 now to be that second overall selection. Third best price to go third overall at a 4-1 number. Lisi guy, that plus 145 price on Shedeur Sanders still stands, by the way, for Shedeur to be a top 5 pick. But again, if he's not going 2 or 3, the Patriots draft 4th, the Jaguars draft 5th. Of course, neither of those organizations need a quarterback. We'll talk more Shedeur Sanders on the other side. And another quarterback that accepted an invite to attend the NFL draft in Green Bay, Jalen Milroe. What does that mean? Next.
4 out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid, and we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin.
He just gives that 5.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. A second child in Texas has died with measles. The Texas Department of State Health Services said the child who tested positive was hospitalized in Lubbock and passed away on Thursday. The child was reportedly not vaccinated and had no reported underlying conditions. Another round of torrential rain and flash flooding came Saturday for parts of the South and Midwest. Overnight into Sunday morning, there were new tornado warnings issued in Alabama and Mississippi, along with flash flood warnings in several counties in Kentucky, Mississippi, and Tennessee. State lawmakers in Maryland passed a measure to try to limit future liabilities from claims of sexual abuse at state and private institutions. The measure reduces caps on settlements from $890,000 to $400,000 for cases filed after May 31st for state institutions, and from $1.5 million to $700,000 for private institutions. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Something amazing is happening. Despite a citywide blackout, this company is still up and running. That's because CDW deployed and managed a cost-effective Eaton Trip Light Series Smart Pro UPS to safeguard equipment easily and reliably. Keep the power on and protect your IT equipment from electrical challenges. Trip Light by Eaton and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/triplight.
With Progressive's collision coverage, my family gets up to $1,000 for vet bills if I'm injured in a car accident. And that makes this Chihuahua really feel like part of the family. What's that? I don't sound like a Chihuahua? Oh, I'm sorry. What exactly am I supposed to sound like? I guess all Chihuahuas are high-strung, riding around in expensive designer purses. Actually, I prefer riding in cars. So I appreciate that my family protects me with Progressive's pet collision coverage. Okay, maybe I am a little high-strung. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and is subject to policy terms.
There's something you should know and always remember.
SportsGrid does not increase luck.
We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck,
go find a horseshoe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, trying to make sense of the moving markets 2.5 weeks out from the 2025 NFL Draft. Of course, we have talked about the change and who the betting favorites are to go second and third overall. Last week, it was Abdul Carter, minus 270 to be the second overall pick. Travis Hunter, minus 185 to be the third overall pick. Now it's Hunter at minus 135 to go 2, Carter at minus 110 to go 3. Shedeur Sanders, Joe, remains a plus 145 price to be a top 5 pick. But if he's not going 1, 2, or 3, the Titans, the Browns, and, of course, the New York Giants, who would seemingly need a quarterback for the future. I'm not sure he's going in the top 5. And he's not going number 1 overall. That should be Cam Ward, now a minus 20,000 favorite. Sanders has a 10-1 price to go second overall. The Browns have that pick at the moment, and a plus 450 price to go third overall. The New York Giants hold that pick at this time as well. Lisa, guy, if he's not going in the top 3, then does Shedeur Sanders go in the top 5?
It's possible because, I mean, if you play it out, right, we know 4 and 5 doesn't need a quarterback. New England at 4 and Jacksonville at 5, right? And then Las Vegas with just re-signing Geno Smith, most likely not. Jets, that's always possible. Well, we talked about it on Friday. You never know in terms of giving, potentially another, I want to say another shot at a starting quarterback, even though we believe Justin Fields is the answer. Carolina, no. It comes down to the Saints. So if you believe the Saints sitting at 9, right, are going to pull the trigger on potentially Shedeur Sanders, does any team potentially like Pittsburgh or anybody else that might need a quarterback reach up and say, you know what, we'll take a shot in the top 5? That is why I still believe he could be a top 5 selection, because if somebody says, you know what, we can't wait to see what happens at 8 or 9, and if he's taking it 9, then we're screwed. Why don't we, go up to the top 5? That's where I still think the plus 146 has value, because you just never know.
And that, Lisi, to me, would be the answer as well. If you're not betting him at plus 450 to go third overall to the Giants, or a lengthier 10-1 price to go second overall right now to the Browns, then you're really betting the plus 145 that a team is trading up into the top 5 to not risk it, to not wait to draft Shedeur Sanders. Now, you could also bet the 145, and the Browns could be like, you know what? We don't really need Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter here. Let's build some draft capital. Somebody trades up to number 2 overall, and there Shedeur Sanders goes. For him to cash that 10-1 price to be the second overall selection does not necessarily mean the Browns need to be the team making that pick. And Lisa, guy, when you really start to dive through these numbers, you don't really think the Raiders are going to make a move at the quarterback spot after the extension for Geno Smith. More than likely not the New York Jets either. The Panthers still set on Bryce Young. Really at number 9, the New Orleans Saints, who did not invest in a new quarterback this offseason. Of course, got Derek Carr a few years ago, but haven't extended him, haven't given him a raise in a couple of years. That would be the spot, Joe, that if Shedeur Sanders falls out of the top 5, that might be the first one that kind of percolates with a, might they do so? Because the Bears are set, the Niners are set, the Cowboys are set, the Dolphins set. I think the Colts are set just because of what the investment needs to be to draft a quarterback in the first round. And then you work your way down to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21st overall. Lisa, we talked about this market. The team to draft Shedeur Sanders, it became available on the FanDuel Sportsbook middle of last week. The Steelers opened at a 17-1 price. Now it's a 6-1 number. Third best number, but a plus 600 price for the Pittsburgh Steelers to draft Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, if he doesn't go to the Browns, Giants, Saints, or Steelers, you could make the argument based off this draft right now, he might fall out of the first round. And I'm not suggesting that's going to happen, but there's no other team that would waste a first-round selection on Shedeur Sanders at that point. There's nobody else. You want to say maybe Minnesota, okay, depending upon, what transpires with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying there's no other team. Even the bottom of the barrel, you look at the last 5 selections, Detroit, Washington, Buffalo, KC, and the Eagles. No shot. Yeah. Right? So 21 is, or maybe 26, just a backup, I guess, for Matt Stafford. I'm just saying, they were looking to ship him this offseason. So, would they take a shot if he fell down there at 26th overall? Maybe. But outside of that, if he doesn't go realistically to those 4 teams, where is he going, Ben? So it's ironic, but, we have a quarterback that is a first-round talent, second best quarterback in this class, And we've heard other rumblings. Oh, Dart, Milroe, Tyler Shuck. Where are these quarterbacks going?
It's a great point, Joe. Only twice in the last 10 years have we seen 2 quarterbacks or fewer going the opening round. Of course, just one back in 2022. That was Kenny Pickett to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And back in 2015, when Jameis and Marcus Mariota went 1 and 2, respectively. Then we didn't see another quarterback taken until the 3rd round. Garrett Grayson from Colorado State ended up going to the Saints back in 2015's 3rd round. That really shows you the priority on quarterbacks, Lisi, as of late. And of course, if you are going to invest a first-round pick on a quarterback, you believe this guy has a great chance. If not, you are fully sold on him being the face of your franchise, right? To play through his rookie deal, to get his contract extension, to be that starting QB basically from week and day number 1. This is not perceived as the greatest quarterback class. Lisi, I said right before the break, not just Shedeur Sanders, but Jalen Milroe. An interesting update yesterday from Dane Brugler, who is the Athletics NFL draft guru. According to his sources, Jalen Milroe, Alabama quarterback, had accepted an invite to the 2025 NFL draft. Now, if you are accepting an invite to the NFL draft green room, that means you are a marquee talent. That means you are a top prospect. Oftentimes, Joe, it means you expect to be a first-round pick. Could Jalen Milroe actually go in round number 1? We discuss up next.
There's smart.
And there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Keep it here.
And win. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1958, the Dodgers construct a 42-foot screen in left field at the LA Coliseum to cut down on home runs since it was only 250 feet down the line. The team moved to Chavez Ravine when Dodger Stadium opened in 1962.
This is gonna be a home run! Unbelievable!
The Dodgers have won 6 world championships since moving to LA. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
New University of Ottawa research says if you're a member of the Polar Bear Club and like to take a dip in the ocean during sub-zero weather, you might actually be extending your life. This study finds acclimating your body to repeated exposure to immersion in cold water for an hour over 7 days supercharges cellular resistance, the body's natural mechanisms cleaning out damaged tissue. If you want to try this for yourself and you're not quite ready to jump into the Arctic Ocean, maybe just try a cold shower. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Sports Rage Tonight.
Hello, Carrot Top is trying to kill me. I just gave people a movie, a Hollywood idea.
He's a super nice guy, was very patient about questions and helping out the guys that were not at his level. So, I hate his act. It's absolutely...
But great guy.
By the way, when you're a comic, this is the worst thing you can say about somebody. Is he funny? He's a nice guy.
It's Sports Rage Tonight with Gabe Morency. Weekdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. Wherever you go,
there you are.
Download the SportsGrid mobile app and we'll be right there with you.
So now you can get the winning edge anywhere.
Even while the wife's talking to you.
If you've got an earbud.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle. It is FFC. It is the quarterback conversation 2.5 weeks away from the 2025 NFL Draft. Of course, the way the NFL Draft is structured now as a TV event, only one round on night number 1. That is Thursday, April 24th. The opening round on the opening night. Joe, we've been having the QB conversation. We really feel that at most, there's going to be 2, potentially 3 quarterbacks at the absolute most in the first round. But as we had the conversation about Shedeur Sanders and his draft stock maybe slightly being on a slide, this is not a quarterback-rich draft class. It is not last year when we saw an NFL record 6 quarterbacks taken in the opening round. It's not 2024 or 2023 rather when we saw 3. It's not 2021 when we saw 5. It could be 2022 where we see only 1 go in the opening round. And more than likely that is Cam Ward, first overall to Tennessee. I do believe Shedeur Sanders is a first-round pick as well. So who is QB number 3? Joe, an interesting report yesterday. Jalen Milroe, Alabama quarterback, has accepted an invite to attend the 2025 NFL Draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin. If you are accepting an invite to attend the draft, you're going to be in the green room. The cameras are going to be on you, your family members, your loved ones. You are going to be a focus throughout draft coverage, which is great if it's one of the greatest nights of your life and you are in a celebratory mood. It's not so great if you're sitting around and waiting to hear your name called. So if you actually attend the draft, you think of yourself and you have some pretty good indications you are going to be a first-round pick, which makes it incredibly interesting, Joe, that Jalen Milroe has accepted that invitation to attend the NFL Draft.
Yeah, it is intriguing when you look at Milroe last year, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 2,800 plus yards, but he has the physical attributes, right? 4.3 40, had a pretty good pro day, threw well at the, when he was showcasing his skills and the upside, right? I'm just saying.
He was bad at the combine. He was fine at the pro day.
That's what I'm talking about, the pro day, right?
Yeah.
Where we ran the 4.3. My point is, and this is where you get down to the upside versus, the quarterback, right? So let's just take Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe is a physical specimen that potentially, when he's on, could be as good as any quarterback potentially in the game, right? Jaden Daniels-esque, right? Was Jaden Daniels a better pocket passer? Absolutely. But he's got a strong arm. He could take the game over with his legs, and at times has won games single-handedly with his performances. He's like Anthony Richardson. You got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. But with the right team and the right tutelage, a team might say, you know what? We could coach that talent up, and he's worth the risk in the first round, because if we capture that, we have lightning in the bottle, as opposed to Jackson Dart that maybe has plateaued at this point in his career. What you see is what you get. He's a good quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback, and maybe he'll be in the league for the next 10 to 15 years, but most likely as a backup, right? Mason Rudolph-esque, right? That's the problem that a lot of these teams have. Somebody might take him, though, Ben. I mean, and who's to say they don't take him? They might draft him as a quarterback, but maybe he switches position. I don't know. Maybe he goes to running back. I mean, he's that. You have a guy that runs 4.3 40, 225 pounds, and has look. Jalen Hurts was named a runner for much of his career before he went to Oklahoma, so you can never say never.
I hear the point, right? I think to be drafted in the first round, that would be insane. And I do not believe that Jalen Milroe will be a first-round pick. I think when we have the odds that come out to be a first-round pick, I don't think Jalen Milroe is going to have a very short or favorable number. So then why is he attending the NFL Draft? Right. The natural follow-up. Is he trying to see the sights of Green Bay, Wisconsin? I'm not entirely sure.
I mean, that's crazy.
There is the entirety of the weekend, right? And it would be a cool thing whenever he hears his name called, because I do think he will be drafted, just not in the first round. Whenever he hears his name called, he is there, a part of the regalia, a part of the fun for it. It is very intriguing, though, Joe, to accept an invite, knowing what that can mean, especially as a quarterback. Last year, Milroe in Tuscaloosa, 16 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, was not nearly as productive through the air as people thought he might be under Kalen DeBoer. Some more NFL Draft conversations and plenty more around the National Football League coming your way up next.
The Winning Edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. The Yukon Huskies won the Women's National Basketball Championship, 82-59 the final over South Carolina on Sunday in Tampa. It's the 12th national title for Yukon. South Carolina denied back-to-back titles. Tonight at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, it's the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship game. Houston squares off with Florida. The Cougars 35-4, the Gators 35-4. Florida advanced with a 79-73 comeback win over Auburn on Saturday, while Houston shocked Duke with a 70-67 win. Houston's never won a national championship. They've been the runner-up twice, 1983 and 1984. The Gators won back-to-back national championships in 2006 and 2007 and was the runner-up in 2000. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
This weekend, only at Macy's, it's our lowest prices of spring. How low? Diamond rings, pendants, and earrings, only $399, originally $1,500. Ninja blenders, now $89.99. And $395 men's designer suits, only $99.99. So if you're wondering why you should shop Macy's lowest prices sale, well, the name pretty much says it all. It's our lowest prices for one weekend only. Starts tomorrow at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
You're listening to SportsGrid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The Winning Edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC. He is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. Jalen Milroe, by reports, has accepted an invite to the 2025 NFL Draft in Green Bay. Of course, Jalen Milroe is a notable name, trying to rise in the ranks from Alabama in his collegiate success to where he is in the National Football League. But based, Joe, on his final season in T-Town, not exactly seen as a promising quarterback prospect in the NFL Draft that would go in the first round, which is often what you would expect when somebody accepts an invite to attend the NFL Draft. Let me ask you this, Lisa guy. You do not think that Jalen Milroe is going to be a first-round pick, correct?
No. I mean, I thought he was a third or a fourth round based off of just his ability to read coverage. He's nowhere near. I'll just put it into perspective. He's nowhere near where Jaden and Caleb were last year, and I still think he's a step under where Shador and obviously Cam are at this point in his career.
So then, Lisi, I guess the next question is, if Jalen Milroe is accepting an invite, and even if it's not a first-round pick, could that be some day two fun and celebration? What I mean by that is, let's say two quarterbacks go in the first round, Cam Ward and wherever Shador Sanders gets slotted in. Is Jalen Milroe even quarterback 3, in your opinion?
No, I mean, I mean, if we're talking about just quarterbacks to plug and play immediately, I would take Jackson Dart over Milroe. But again, the physical attributes, we talk about Anthony Richardson, right? With a Joe Milton, right? Look at Joe Milton and his value now a couple of years later, right? You know, being traded to the Cowboys. I think he's better than Tyler Shuck. And I know Shuck has everything, right? The size, the arm, the intangibles. I would put probably Milroe behind Dart, you know, but I think Dart is a much better passer, pocket passer at this point in his career. Again, that's not to take away from Jalen Milroe. It's just that he had struggled. Now, maybe part of it was the new scheme with DeBoer and obviously getting acclimated to that. But I think he's probably the fourth or fifth best quarterback in this class.
I would agree, Joe. I think Jackson Dart, I think Tyler Shuck, I think maybe even Quinn Ewers could hear their name called before that of Jalen Milroe. Heck, my guy Kyle McCord might also hear his name called before Jalen Milroe. But I do wonder because, again, you're accepting the NFL draft invite. You're thinking promising thoughts about where your NFL future is going to begin. It's just compelling from that perspective. It is not a guarantee you accept the invite and the NFL draft is going to be sensational, right? But I think a lot of guys, Joe, have been spooked off the idea of being at the site of the draft if you are especially a quarterback, the most marquee position, if you start to see your draft stock slide. Think Will Levis just 2 years ago in 2023. We entered that draft thinking he might be a top 5 pick. Of course, did not go until night number 2, and the cameras were all over Levis and his family. It was a little bit unfortunate, not so much at the production side of things, but just that he kept being highlighted, and it was a tough night. You could see the emotion.
Yeah, and could this be reverse psychology? Like, the agent maybe forcing the issue and saying, hey, we have a first-round talent, or we believe we have a first-round talent, and maybe that, him being there, a team takes a shot. I don't know. I mean, I've read rumors that Tomlin was in love and the Steelers were in love with Jalen Milroe in terms of the pro day performance. Is that true? Is that window dressing? I guess we'll figure it out. Again, which other team is really quarterback needy right here, right now? And we just went through basically only 4 teams, right? So, and that's a stretch when you think about it, right? Yes, the Saints and Steelers, but outside of that, I mean, maybe Minnesota as a backup. I don't know. Right. I mean, but why are you wasting a first-round selection when you just took J.J. McCarthy? So it's very limited in terms of the teams that would pull the trigger on Jalen Milroe in the first round.
And that's it, Joe. I think you hit the nail on the head right there, right? Why are you wasting a pick at the potential idea of promise? It could make some sense to draft some of these quarterbacks we just mentioned, names we have known for many years in college football. Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, Kyle McCord a little bit later on. But if you're reaching because you are quarterback needy, that's not often a recipe for success in the National Football League. I do wonder, Joe, still what that over-under quarterbacks taken in round number 1 is going to be. I think 2.5 is the number. I think the under has the juice, at least to begin. Do you think I am wrong in setting that line? Do you think it's 1.5, heavy juice on the over? 2.5, what do you think that number looks like?
I don't think they can make it at 1.5. They'd be really exposing themselves to a risk, right? So 2.5 probably would be the number because, we know Shador is a legitimate first-round talent, right? So at the very least, a team, would reach up and grab him potentially. So I think the number's 2.5. I think it's juiced to the under as well because, again, we just went through the list. And even though Jackson Dart might be, let's say, turning heads, who's really going to reach up and grab him? He could fall out the way Will Levis did. And there was much more quarterback-needy teams a couple of years ago with Will Levis than there are right now. Outside that, those 4, Pittsburgh, New Orleans, the Giants, and Cleveland, there's nobody really else. Everybody's set on their quarterbacks for the next 4 or 5 years.
It's a really good point, Lisa Guy, and it is really interesting because the Browns and the Giants at least need a QB, we would think, for 2026 and beyond, and yet they seem pretty set in the fact they are not going to go quarterback early and often in the opening round, which should probably be some sort of an indication whether they're bad at draft evaluation or the overall consensus around the National Football League. There's not much great elite talent at the top of this draft from a quarterback perspective. Just to talk about Derek Carr's contract quickly here, because that's where I think things get interesting for the Saints, who have that 9th overall pick. Of course, a new quarterback, a new coach, and a bright quarterback mind in Kellen Mond. Derek Carr signed his extension when? I'm trying to find it here. I cannot. Why am I missing it? Anyway, we'll come back to it in just a second. But Derek Carr, signed as a free agent in 2023. I think he is under contract through 2026. So 2 more years in New Orleans. Technically, the contract runs through 2029, but the final 3 years are void. So the hefty cap hits really stop, Joe, at the end of the 2026 season. There would be some cap hits in those final years, but no guaranteed salary past 2026. That's why you could see the Saints drafting a quarterback at 9th overall, because you have some time to develop, led by Derek Carr and the experience, and craft him in the model of Kellen Moore. It's just an idea if the new Saints head coach thinks his offensive scheme fits one of the quarterbacks not named Cam Ward in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints, again, first-year head coach, aging quarterback that obviously you haven't re-signed in any capacity. He was supposed to take you to a playoff appearance. You couldn't get there. And you have multiple, needs on both sides of the ball. So if the quarterback is there, you have the potential to rebuild in year number 2, right? Obviously get understanding of the system in year 1, and then year 2, hit the ground running. So outside of that, you look at the prices that just are on FanDuel, Ben, of some of these teams. Minnesota, no quarterback in sight, right? When you look at the quarterback price, 200 to 1. I will say the one that keeps jumping out, 14 to 1 for the Rams, because again, Matt Stafford is aging. They were going to ship him off. You had Garoppolo. 14 to 1 might not be a bad spot for one of these guys to land.
For the Saints to use their first pick on a quarterback is plus 270. It is the shortest price. It is the favorite number for New Orleans. We shall see. Lisa Guy, let's turn our attention to some college football. On the other side of the break, live right here on Football Full Circle, maybe talking those Florida Gators. Yeah.
We're not saying every SportsGrid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie. Just saying. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. State lawmakers in Maryland passed a measure to try to limit future liabilities from claims of sexual abuse at state and private institutions. The measure reduces caps on settlements from $890,000 to $400,000 for cases filed after May 31st for state institutions, and from $1.5 million to $700,000 for private institutions. A second child in Texas has died with measles. The Texas Department of State Health Services said the child who tested positive was hospitalized in Lubbock and passed away on Thursday. The child was reportedly not vaccinated and had no reported underlying conditions. Another round of torrential rain and flash flooding came Saturday for parts of the South and Midwest. Overnight into Sunday morning, there were new tornado warnings issued in Alabama and Mississippi, along with flash flood warnings in several counties in Kentucky, Mississippi, and Tennessee. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Here's comedian Howie Mandel for hands-free Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins.
Yeah, I'm holding a new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-in sneaker, and first of all, I barely know I'm holding it. It's that light. You see, Cozy Fit is a cool new sneaker where the upper is made of a soft quilted material. It's kind of like a little puffer jacket for your feet, except it looks like a super stylish sneaker.
Introducing new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins, the latest comfort creation from Skechers. You can find Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Ask any player and they'll tell you any advantage is important.
That's where we come in.
SportsGrid delivers gaming strategies and analysis 7 days a week.
The winning edge.
It's your advantage to more winning
more often.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
It is Football Full Circle. It is a Monday, but of course, outside of the football realm, tonight is National Championship Monday in the 2025 Men's NCAA Tournament. It's Florida, it's Houston, it's inside a football stadium in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. We expect the game to be sensational. Lisi, today I'm doing the Gator Chomp. I've Got a green suit to wear live on air for our Sports Grid Bracket Central coverage. If Florida wins tonight, I win a couple of brackets. I win the Sports Grid bracket for pride. I win my college buddies bracket for about 800 bones. And I cash a national championship ticket on the Florida Gators that I had back in early February. You know what else I'll have still in the old FanDuel account, even after tonight's conclusion, win or lose? Another ticket doing the Gator Chomp. My first win total bet of the 2025 college football campaign ahead. Florida Gators over 6.5 wins. Thoroughly impressed by the job that Billy Napier did in 2024 with an incredibly difficult gauntlet and a quarterback in DJ Lagway that was not fully healthy for the entirety of the season. The Gators were an underdog in plenty of their games. They were competitive, and they picked up plenty of outright wins. I like that improvement with a healthy DJ Lagway, who will enter the SEC in 2025 as one of the prominent quarterbacks in this conference. So I like Florida going over 6.5 wins in the 2025 college football season. Talk to me. Am I crazy?
Yeah, you're always crazy. I understand the upside of DJ Lagway. I get that. But let's look at the actual schedule to see if they could actually back that up. 2 easy wins, South Florida and LIU. Then they have to go on the road to Baton Rouge, a rivalry game with the University of Miami and Carson Beck. Texas.
Win that.
Oh, they're going to win. Okay, we'll give them Beck because we don't know where Beck's head is at the moment, with obviously the situation transpiring with his girlfriend and the stolen cars. Right. We get that. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah.
Texas with Arch Manning, okay? Texas A&M in College Station. All right, we'll give them the win against Miss State. Georgia, the rivalry game. Played them tough last year. You never know. But we'll say they lose. Kentucky's a win. Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Florida State. So I'll say under. I don't think they're getting there. I think they're a 6-6 football team. I think obviously, go ahead.
No, you go, please. Please.
I just think I think Georgia, Tennessee will beat them. I do feel Texas beats them. I think LSU beats them. They could lose that game at A&M, and obviously the rivalry game. I don't have them more than 6 wins, Ben. So,
all right,
I don't know what to tell you.
Fair enough. Listen, Florida with a fully healthy DJ Lagway was booked as an underdog 8 times in 2024 because of how difficult that schedule was. They were not great in their first 2 games in the Swamp against Miami or against A&M. They did not cover those numbers, booked as a field goal dog or fewer. But in their next games as an underdog, outright win against UCF, overtime thriller against Tennessee, lost that game, but did cover as a double-digit dog in Knoxville. They went outright against Kentucky. They covered the cocktail party against Georgia and had a lead against the Dogs early before the hamstring injury to DJ Lagway. They went outright against LSU in the Swamp, and they beat Ole Miss as a 2-touchdown dog, winning by 7, absolutely derailing the Rebs' potential of winning a college or making the college football playoff. Joe, I love what I see there out of a team not expected to perform and then outperformed on those expectations. So with that in mind, give me the Florida Gators over 6.5. I bet the over at -128. It is now -156. I believe LIU, that's a win. No doubt about it. South Florida in the Swamp, that is a win. We'll split. We'll head to Death Valley. We'll take down that fraud and BK and a wide receiver core. That's supposed to be great. They really are. Garrett Nussmeier is going to put up outlandish numbers in 2025. We'll win at Miami. Not even worried about that. You like how I'm saying we? That's 3 right there.
Yeah, okay.
Mississippi State, Kentucky, Ole Miss. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you're right at 6. You're right at 6. You're right at 6. That's exactly what I said.
Like the market on this Monday.
Here's the issue with Napier. You're right. He saved his job last year in the emergence of DJ Lagway. Now there's pressure again. Because, again, you can't be a 6-win football team with DJ Lagway. Sure. You sold it last year. You're overexceeded. You got back to a bowl. You won the bowl game. Great, all well and good. But now the pressure's on. You can't regress. So, we'll see how they respond. Napier did a really nice job, when he settled the ship after they got blown out by Miami, in Gainesville. That was a terrible loss to start the year.
Terrible.
And they and they regrouped, and they had great wins down the stretch. Ole Miss, LSU in the swamp, back-to-back games. We'll see if they can continue the momentum. Defense takes the next step, they're going to be there. Will they be a legit SEC contender? If he can get them to do that and they go 10-2, look out, baby.
Yeah.
Then Florida's back on the map.
No doubt about it, Joe. It will be year 4 in Gainesville under Billy Napier, and we know how prolific he and his Louisiana teams were when booked as an underdog in those 4 years, leading the Ragin' Cajuns. Joe, in his 3 years in Gainesville, Florida as an underdog with all they did last year, 13-9 against the spread. Again, I have some belief in this Florida team, but it is the SEC in this expanded and changing climate of college football. It is not going to be easy to get to 7 wins, and certainly not going to be easy to contend for the SEC crown. Still, the teams that you would expect to be the front runners for the conference championship are Texas and Arch Manning at plus 250. Georgia, second best price at plus 360. Alabama 6-1. Tennessee plus 750. LSU plus 950. Ole Miss a 10-1 price. Florida is at 30-1, just to compare. Lisa Guy, I've got an idea that you're going to be betting that Bayou Bengals number at plus 950, fifth best to win the SEC.
Yeah, maybe not win the SEC because that's a little tricky, but they're definitely making the college football playoff at an 8.5 win total. If not, Brian Kelly's on the hot seat as well.
There's no doubt about that either, Lisa Guy. Entering year number 4 in Baton Rouge, LSU has gotten off to some slow starts, hoping for better in 2025. Plenty more to come on Football Full Circle next.
Luck is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the ticket.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and Sirius XM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
Think of us as your cool roommate that has this innate gift of somehow always picking winners and never bugs you about doing the dishes or paying rent. Sports gaming strategies and information 24/7.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
So we're talking about the SEC because Florida plays in the men's basketball national championship game tonight. My first win total bet entering the 2025 college football campaign is also on the Gators, over 6.5 wins. Lisa Guy, Texas and Arch Manning will have a ton of expectation this year. Plus 250 for the Longhorns to win the SEC. Plus 650, second best price to win a national championship. Do you believe that Arch and the Longhorns under Steve Sarkisian will live up to that billing?
It's hard. I'll just say that. They had a great team last year. And again, we saw them play down to the level of competition. And when Quinn Ewers had an opportunity to tie that game up, they couldn't convert against Ohio State. Will they be there from an offensive perspective? Absolutely. Still concerns about the defense, though. I honestly still have those concerns to compete with the likes, big picture over the course of the next 2 or 3 seasons of the likes of Georgia, LSU, and obviously, the Ohio State Buckeyes defending national champs. We'll see. Everything's out there, but the pressure's on Arch. Could he outscore teams this year? Absolutely. But we know defense ultimately, moves the needle and gets it done.
Yeah.
We'll see. I wouldn't make that bet. To win the SEC, it's a pretty good bet. But again, they have the best quarterback on paper. Now he's got to live up to it.
Yeah, we'll see exactly what the SEC looks like. A couple of changing faces at the quarterback spot. Arch Manning in there for Texas. Of course, we know his name, and he did play a ton, but did not win the starting job over Quinn Ewers. Gunnar Stockton, who had to fill in for the injured Carson Beck, should be the guy, we would presume, for UGA. Garrett Nussmeier returns for LSU. I have a lot of belief in DJ Lagway and the Florida Gators. But, Joe, for Alabama, we'll see who that new quarterback is going to be under Kalen DeBoer in year number 2. One good thing for the Crimson Tide, making his way back to work on DeBoer's staff as the offensive coordinator is Ryan Grubbs, who was his OC with DeBoer for basically the entirety of DeBoer's coaching career, was the offensive coordinator in Seattle for the Washington Huskies with DeBoer when they reached that national championship game, remained the OC in Seattle for the Seahawks this past year. He's now back with DeBoer in Tuscaloosa in Alabama at a 6-1 price, third best price to win the SEC.
Yeah, now, again, coordinators are tough, especially on the college level. Alabama for years was able to revolve offensive coordinators, right? Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, Brian Dable, and they never missed a beat under Nick Saban. That was what made Saban the mad scientist. We'll see. Ty Simpson supposedly is supposed to be the guy. Can he pick up the system for the most part? Well, again, we'll see. Is he, I don't know if Alabama last year, they still have Ryan Williams, but what does that mean, big picture? What does that mean for this team defensively? They regressed in some games, and we'll see how they play the rest of the SEC, because if the defense falls off a cliff, doesn't matter what the offense does, they're not winning an SEC championship or getting to the college football playoff.
Nikki Treat still there in Knoxville. Of course, that is Nico Eamaleava. He and his Volunteers at a plus 750 price have the fourth best number to win the SEC. Ole Miss will have a new quarterback, Austin Simmons, kind of the front runner for that gig as of this moment after losing Jackson Dart, and a South Carolina team with Lenora Sellers that was incredibly productive in 2025. Lisa, guy, when you look at those national title prices, a lot of the same teams that we had entering last year are still there. Ohio State, the reigning national title winners, Julian Sayin, probably their new quarterback, the Alabama transfer in Columbus. Again, Texas, second best price. Oregon, third best number. Georgia, fourth best number. The team that has the fifth best price has its most expectation in shortest number to actually win a national championship, maybe in the entirety of the James Franklin tenure. That's now more than a decade in state college. Joe, that's Penn State. 8-1 price on the Nittany Lions because of all they return on both sides of the football. Of course, that starts with the QB in Drew Aller. Will you be on the Penn State hype train entering 2025, or will you be a little bit more cautious?
Oh, again, Drew Aller, you know how I feel about him. But here's the thing, Ben. If you believe in Penn State, right, and you think this is their year, for me, I would not take a shot on the 8-1 price national championship. I'd rather book them at plus 340 to win the Big Ten.
Yeah. And Joe, I think that would be the way to look at it as well. Again, the Nittany Lions, they have Oregon at home. They have to visit Ohio State. No Michigan on the radar for a second consecutive year. He is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. Football Full Circle returns tomorrow, noon Eastern time on SportsGrid Radio.
Now you've done it.
You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge for short. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.